Korea, 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 Korea. The energy in the room is low. Korea, Korea. All right. So, in preparation for this talk, I actually learned a lot about public speaking and all the technicalities involved and how I should stand and how I should do. But standing in front of all of you, to be honest, all those things have vanished. So we're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna go on a journey. I'm going to lead you, and what we'll be doing is that I'll be hearing from you, and you'll be hearing from me. Is that fine? Is that fine? I can hear you. Is that fine? Amazing. So it all started a couple of years ago. I was in my hostel on my bed watching a movie when a couple of my roommates were arguing about the North. They had come with one of their colleagues from class who, upon hearing that I was a Northerner, started making some claims of being from the North, even though he had never personally been to the North. This was in a bid to claim that he was of tough origins. You can say Takashi. Do you know what Takashi is? Yeah, he's Takashi. But my roommates were not having it from him at all. In fact, they said he wasn't going to last 1 month in the North because, after all, what is in the north of Ghana to sustain him from, experiencing it wonderfully as compared to how he was raised in Accra. And so the banter started. We were talking. Oh, there's this in the north, there's that in the north, there's no this in the north, there's no that in the north. Now, I didn't want to be a part of that conversation, so I was quiet. I was just watching them until one of them had the boldness to ask me if we have internet or network in the north. Now, as a northerner, anytime you're faced with a situation like this, someone asking you such a funny question, your mind starts racing. You start thinking about the most sarcastic way of responding to the person. You're probably thinking of saying something like, no, we live on trees and then we bath in streams. Who knows what I'm talking about? Right. So, like I said, I didn't want to be a part of that conversation. So I just said a simple yes. Forgot about him. But that question got me thinking. Why is it that there is very little attention given to the northern parts of Ghana? I mean, to many down south, the north is just an experience that they've heard about, a concept about a lifestyle that exists outside their definition of modern civilization. So I started to read, I started to study to try and understand what is the definition of value to a nation. Of course, I read about GDP and all of that. And when I read about GDP, I could narrow the value of Ghana to some main resources: gold, oil, cocoa, and industry. Now, before 1957, there was no Ghana as we know it today. There was the Northern Protectorate and the Southern Territories. And colonial development followed a certain pattern. The coast received the infrastructure, and the interior provided the labor. So, with that in mind, imagine this. If we created a rift, an imaginary rift, between the north and the south of Ghana, where do you think most of our resources would lie? Can I hear your answer? Okay, let's go one by one. The gold, where do you think we'll have more gold? Most of the gold mines are in the south, right? What about the cocoa? Oil? Tourism? Industry? You get a picture? Discovered that most of our resources were clustered in the what? South. Now, with this data, what was more intriguing was that when you further simulate it, this is what it shows, that the South would account for about 83% of the GDP, whereas the North would account for just about 17%. So slowly I began to understand something. But that does not mean that the North was completely out of the picture. No. Of course, you know about agriculture. You know about shea butter. Is that not it? The most important resource was our human resource. You see, from colonial times, labor migration from the north was not accidental, it was intentional. And even today, we still see the consequence of that mass exodus of movement in labor. Okay, so we talked about gold, oil, cocoa, tourism industry, right? So in those cocoa farms, do you think you find more northerners than southerners? Hello? More northerners working than southerners, right? What about our gold mines? So you see, in markets far from home, in governance, in industry, you find northerners resilient and adaptable. You see, for the North, labor and human resource development was not about meeting corporate demands or work demands. It was a culture, it's a lifestyle. In fact, I do dare say that discipline in northern senior high schools is somewhat more stringent than in the South. I mean, from Tamale to Navrongo to Wa, there are tales of unsung heroes like Adam Wilberforce, aka Adam Biao. Have Mr. Paul Kelly, Rector Francis Kudelgu. These are people that are known to be forgers of character. So then it's not surprising that in the last elections, two of the most influential political parties in the country decided to present Northerners for us to choose. It's not then surprising that the very respectable Right Honorable Alban Bagbin, the Speaker of Parliament, is Northerner with this kind of training. This kind of training produced our very Minister of Education, the Ministry of Education, the very institution that is responsible for human resource development, Honorable Haruna Idrisu. See, for a long time, people have been asking, what is the North's contribution? And for the North, her gold was not in earth and water. It's in us, her children. You see, the gold is that Northern lecturer that brings a whole new vibe to the class. The North is that watch seller that you buy your favorite watch from. The Northern gold is that foreman that's managing your daddy's cocoa farm. And my personal favorites, Chef Abiro Wisdom. The gold is Chef Abiro Wisdom, a young chef that is taking Ghana equally like Chef Abi to global standards. The gold in the North is Clinton Anani, a young entrepreneur who is revolutionizing the agricultural sector by developing autonomous self-driving vehicles. The gold is Ibrahim Mahama, a man who is taking contemporary art to a whole new level onto the global stage. So the crack was never the North. The crack was how we learn to see the North. This is not a call for division. It's a call for self-discovery, because a nation cannot fully grow when part of itself is taught to shrink. The North is not just an experience, it's home. It's not a place for punishing people. It's a beacon of hope and excellence. And when we fill her with integrity, with investment, it becomes more beautiful. Our national efforts become more intentional. So this is a call out for us to reshape our thinking, to reshape our understanding about the North, to appreciate and embrace it, and to be intentional about our investment in the people. To achieve the government and the Ghana that we talk about in speeches and policies and dreams, we must invest beyond geography. We must see potential before productivity. And we must come to an understanding that the Ghana that we talk about, a true Ghana, is not built only by the coast. A true Ghana is built by all and for all. Thank you.